Joining me now, Karen Pierce, British ambassador to the United States. Ambassador Pierce, thank you for coming back to the Sunday show. Prime Minister Johnson's visit to Kyiv yesterday was a surprise. Has the visit changed his perspective on what needs to be done to stop Russia and Putin?
He was very pleased to be able to see President Zelensky personally, as you say, face to face, and to show his solidarity and to make further offers to support the defensive war that Ukraine is having to do and also the economy. And they talked about war crimes and the possibility of crafting an approach to a sustainable peace. But yes, he was just very pleased to be able to demonstrate his solidarity and that of the British people in person.
Mm-hmm. The Prime Minister is giving more lethal weapons, as Raf was just talking about, to Ukraine as it gears up for an expected Russian onslaught in the east and south. Did President Zelensky repeat his persistent request for a no-fly zone over Ukraine to the Prime Minister?
I don't have any information about a no-fly zone specifically, Jonathan, but I know they talked about more anti-tank missiles. We're supplying more Starstreak missiles, and we're also supplying some heavy armor. And the Prime Minister has announced another $150 million worth of heavy equipment, all defensive, but all to help Ukraine fight the Russians.
And how concerned is the Prime Minister about the possibility of Putin, given that he's attacked civilian targets, train stations, residential buildings, that he would indeed use chemical, biological, or nuclear weapons, especially now that he has put in a new battlefield commander who has experience in Syria doing the same thing?
Well, the Russians have already been barbaric and shocking enough in their invasion of Ukraine. But we know that Russian military doctrine, as you say, we've seen in Syria, we know that the military doctrine treats certain sorts of weapons of mass destruction differently from the way NATO would treat them. So it's something that NATO wants to discuss. It's something we have to be alert to. But really, if Russia were to use weapons of mass destruction, chemical, biological, nuclear, of any sort, in Ukraine, then a very important line would have been crossed. And then the whole world would be able to see what Russia really stands for.
You know, there's a lot of talk about, the phrase war crimes is being used, that Vladimir Putin is guilty of war crimes. How likely is it that he would be charged for war crimes because of his attacks on hospitals, residential areas, that train station in Ukraine?
Well, attacks on civilians and attacks on hospitals fall under the Geneva Conventions and the laws of war, so they are war crimes. But what typically happens is that you need a proper judicial level investigation. The International Criminal Court is doing that investigation. We are helping. We're lending them personnel, and we're also putting money in so that they can complete that investigation. But there would be an investigation, and then typically there would be a trial in a court of law. So whether or not you could actually get to the stage of bringing President Putin to justice would depend on all those steps being met, unless the Russian people wish to bring President Putin to court in Russia for the war crimes that we believe he is committing.
And we're going to be talking about war crimes, genocide, crimes against humanity in our next block. But, Madam Ambassador, the United Kingdom is following the United States in placing sanctions on Vladimir Putin's two daughters. But so far, the sanctions haven't seemed to curb Russia's aggression. Isn't a clampdown on Russian gas what's needed to grind Russia's war effort and economy to a halt?
Well, I think the sanctions are working, Jonathan, because they are degrading Putin's ability to wage war. And we've seen the effect of that in their supply chains. They can't get the weapons they want because of the embargoes. And we've seen it in the fact that they're having to change their tactics. But you are right that dependency on Russian hydrocarbons is a very important part of solving the future. We want to reduce Europe's dependency on Russia for its energy supplies. And that work is going on in the G7, in the European Union, and between transatlantic partners.
Ambassador Karen Pierce, British ambassador to the United States, thank you very much for coming to the Sunday show.